Alright, so today I'm going to do a little linguistics training video on just an overview of Omniglot and then particularly look at the alphabets and writing systems here. So Omniglot is, as I call it here, the online encyclopedia of writing systems and languages. It's just a wonderful site with all sorts of things. So looking at the different places you can go from the main page, you've got alphabets and writing systems. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but different ways of writing languages. Constructed scripts are specifically scripts that an individual has made up rather than was developed at some point lost in history. A known individual has made up a script. Sometimes these are fictional scripts, perhaps for example, Klingon, which is a fictional language, right? But they can also be a constructed script for a modern or known language, such as a constructed script to write English phonetically or so on. You have a language section with different kinds of information about languages, so you can look at language families, the names of languages, you can view articles on it. There's a Learn Languages section, and then there's a What's New section where they have a conglomeration of new material that's been added recently to the site. So let's just take a look at some things. So if I follow the constructed scripts, you can see here, you can see all these different types of scripts that have been constructed at some point for different languages. Let's see. If we do fictional alphabets, just so we can take a look at some of those, you can see, for example, some of the Tolkien scripts. J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So you have Tengwar script for Quenya, which is an elven language that he developed, and all kinds of different things like this. So other fictional alphabets, if you go down below, you can see a variety of these. So you've got, like, for example, standard galactic alphabet. Let's see, do they have Daedric? I think that one's from the Elder Scrolls games. Anyhow, just things that people have come up with. Okay, and let's go back to the main site. So if we follow the link for languages, so here you can see an alphabetical listing of all the languages that they have. And there are thousands of languages in the world. Look at that. That is just amazing. And you can follow an individual one. Let's just pick one at random. Let's say Beli. Never heard of that one before. B-E-L-I. Okay, so it's a member of the Central Sudanic branch of the Nilo-Saharan language. So Nile, Sahara region, Central Sudanic branch. So I'm guessing somewhere in the Sudan region. It says in the southeast of Rumbek in South Sudan. There you go. 65,000 people, okay, speak this language, known as Beli or Meli, okay. Don't know for sure what that little indication is. So there are 3 dialects of Wulu, Bari, Garinti, and Sopi. And you get the pronunciation script there. And you can download charts on it. You can learn more about it by following the links. Okay. And let's pick one that I know they're going to have a little bit more about, because some of them they have more than others. Let's pick Danish. That's a pretty well-established language. So you can see they have a bigger entry here. They tell us quite a lot about its relationship to other languages, the earliest kinds of Danish in the Middle Ages. You can see the Gesta Danorum, the history of the Danes, which is an old medieval history there by Saxo Grammaticus. And let's see, you've got alphabet, you've got pronunciation, you've got a sample text, videos. And if I move on down here further, it has phrases. So if I follow phrases, you can see some phrases in Danish, so you can learn some basic phrases. So a lot of languages, they have that, and they'll fill in most of those basic phrases. A lot of languages, they'll have the numbers as they have here for Danish. One thing that I happen to know offhand about Danish is it has a weird numbering system where if you see here, the word for 50 is halvtreds, which essentially means something like 3.5 times 20. So that's a pretty weird way of naming 50. And then you can see 70 is halvfjerds, which is like 4.5 times 20. So they have some weird numbering there that you don't see in other languages. So each language has its own little idiosyncrasies. A lot of languages will have family terms, okay? So we see here, the family terms here look fairly similar to English. That makes sense because Danish is a Germanic language, we're a Germanic language. Some languages have more kind of differences in the way their family terms work. For example, you might have two different words for uncle depending on whether the uncle is on your father's side or mother's side. Let's see, do they have that here? Yeah, they do, actually. So you have uncle and then farbror, that's like your father's brother, and morbror, your mother's brother. So they do have that variation here. For aunt, they have tante, that's like the German word for aunt too, and then faster and moster for the father's sister and the mother's sister, I guess. So that's interesting. So sometimes you see things there in family words that you don't even have words for really in English. We could maybe describe it in a phrase, right? The brother of your mother, but we don't have a specific word for it. Tongue twisters, Tower of Babel, all kinds of different things. Learning materials, so that might give links to learning Danish. All right, so I'm going to go back to the main site. So under learning languages, notice it has phrases, numbers, colors, and time. So let's just pick numbers. That's one thing that there are a lot of linguistics puzzles on. So here it has numbers in various languages. So these are all the languages that they have lists of the numbers in. So let's say Quechua, Cusco, that's the Incan language, at least as it's spoken today, the descendant of the ancient Incan language, spoken in Peru today. And you can see how their number system works here. Essentially, you're counting up to 10, and then you're counting, it looks like basically, we've got a progression up to 10, and then we go up to 20. So it's fairly similar to ours, actually. Let's go back, and let's pick another one that I know is going to be a little bit different. Let's see. I've got an idea. So let's follow Basque. So we go to the Basque numbers. You can see you count up to 10, Hamar, and then when we go to 11, Micah. Okay, it's a special kind of a word. It's not like 10-1, right? But we're used to that because 11's kind of special in English. Okay. Now if we go on up, we look at Hogie is 20. Hogie is 20. And then for 30, what we end up with is Hogie to Hamar, which is literally 20 plus 10, sort of. And then you keep adding to that all the way up to 39. So you're saying like 20 plus 19 for 39. And then 40, they've got a new number, Beroge. And then 50 is Beroge to Hamar, which is basically 40 plus 10, or 2 20s and 10. So you can see how their counting works kind of funny. You'll notice the word for 80 is essentially like 4 times 20, or 4 20s. This strange way of counting shows that they had some influence of a base 20 and a base 10 system. Now, a lot of European languages use base 10. Latin was base 10. Indo-European languages in general have base 10. But you see some base 20 systems around the world. So one would guess that Basque, which is not an Indo-European language, but it is in Europe, originally maybe had a base 20 system, and then it's sort of halfway combined with a base 10 system. And it has influenced other languages in Europe. For example, the word for 80 in French is similarly basically a word that means 4 times 20. So weird things that happen in numbers due to different bases. You know, are you going to count by bases of 10s, by bases of 20s? Some languages might have bases in 3 or 4. I've seen base 12 systems, base 15 systems. There's quite a variety. A lot of times you have 10 because people have 10 fingers, but then you also have 10 toes, and so you could have 20. So there's just quite a variety of things out there. All right, let's go back to the main site. Now, we're going to look specifically some about alphabets and writing systems. So let's follow this alphabets and writing systems. And you can see quite a variety of these, okay? All the different writing systems we can find. Now I'm going to go back. Now I could follow specific types of writing systems. So Abjads or alphabets, Abjads, syllabaries, semanto-phonetic writing systems, and alternative scripts, undeciphered scripts. So let's look at Abjads. What is an Abjad? Okay, so an Abjad is, you could call it a consonant alphabet. So they only represent consonants, or only consonants plus maybe part of the vowels. If you have full vowel indication, some of the times these can be added with diacritical marks, so little extra dots, or maybe marks of some sort, slashes, whatever, around the letters themselves. But these Abjads don't usually do this. Most of these are written from right to left. For example, Arabic and Hebrew are written from right to left. Okay, so Abjad examples: Hebrew and Arabic, Syriac, Samaritan. You can see some Aramaic Abjads, ancient Berber, Sabaean, the Ugaritic, that's a really old one, in cuneiform, Proto-Sinaitic, Proto-Canaanite script there. So just a variety here. Phoenician, which a lot of times people will say is the earliest alphabet, but Phoenician was not a true alphabet because just like Hebrew and Arabic, they didn't have vowels, okay? They only had the consonants. So technically those are not, as linguists call, alphabets, unless maybe you add the term consonant and say consonant alphabet, which is basically what an abjad is. All right, let's go back again. Let's follow the link to alphabets. So alphabets here, these have letters or characters that typically you have a set order for them, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or in Greek, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Okay, Greek is one of the earliest actual alphabets, so it adapted the Phoenician letters and used some of them to write vowel sounds, some to write consonant sounds. So, hey, now you have an alphabet. So the word alphabet comes from alpha, beta, the first 2 letters of the Greek alphabet. And Anglo-Saxon runes are another example. You've got the Cyrillic alphabet used by Russian and other Slavic languages. So all these different examples here. Now, the modern alphabet that we use in English is actually called the Roman alphabet because it's based on the ancient Roman one. You can see some other examples here. All right, let's go back. Abjads now. Now these are syllabic alphabets. So abjads, you have essentially a symbol that indicates the consonant for a syllable, and then you change that consonant indicator by putting a little mark in here. You can see the little red marks up in the box in the upper right hand side here. You have some marks that are red. Those are the vowel markings added. So you can see the pa syllable with the short A, and then the pa with the long A, and the P all have different kinds of additional red marks around that base symbol. So you start with a sort of basic syllable, and then you augment that